All aboard! Hey, what's happening? It's Sporty King, and goodness to you. And you know what? I say goodness because I don't know whether it's morning, noon, or afternoon that you're watching it. But isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? Welcome to Glue Wednesday. And for those of you who are coming on in person, you know that I always try to get on at least 5 minutes earlier than the message time to give people time to close out what they're doing and get settled in for a great connection of glue. And that's from me to you. But that's it. So the message, we got less than 4 minutes for today's message. But again, if you're coming in person, welcome, welcome, welcome back. If this is your first time, just want to introduce you to Glue Wednesday. I created Glue Wednesday back in 2017 because so often people say, that Wednesday was hump day. Well, that's an old school rules. And we used to just say, well, you work Monday to Friday and then there's the weekend. We didn't have the term flex time, though there's always been flex time because we've always had hotels, restaurants, public transportation, the entertainment industry. So we've always had it. But anyway, people said Wednesday was hump day, the middle of the week. And I say, well, what happens if you work Thursday to Tuesday? See, so not everybody work Monday to Friday. Nothing wrong with calling it hump day, but I'm with me, with my creative self, and trying to put a little extra positivity on everything. I decided to showcase the point that Wednesday is the middle of a traditional 7-day week, regardless of when you work. So it's the day that keeps the week beginning and the week end together. So it's the glue, GLUE. It's God's love which undoes everything. And so that's the key, and that's why I created Glue Wednesday. And so we've just had a lot of wonderful response since then. But at least now, if this is your first time, you know the etymology of it, where it all began. And we've got less than 3 minutes for today's message. So I will wait and see how people roll on in. Hey, you know what I'm looking at meanwhile, by the way, P.S., Stronger Together. It was Hillary Clinton's campaign slogan, but I just kept it because I just think that it makes a great point that we sometimes in our world, in our lives, we focus on the differences instead of the commonalities. And so I'm always looking to bring in some more commonalities, things that we share, even though we're in different mindsets and frame of minds, we share a lot. So that's what I like to do on this broadcast, is share. And I see somebody's watching. Oh, they're gone. But as you come in, let me know where you're coming in from, even if you're watching on the videotape, because it's great as I'm talking about commonalities and what we share. It's good to see, that someone logged in from someplace else, maybe at a different time, but a different, same bad time, same bad station, but a different location. Less than 2 minutes for today's message. Okay, so that's what we want to do. And that's part of one of my gifts to the world, is just finding the commonalities, just recognizing that no one's perfect. If you listen to my Monday broadcast, it's called the Monday Morning Moment, and it talks about the fact that the goal is excellence, because excellence is attainable and it's repeatable. Perfection is not. It's neither attainable nor repeatable. So let me know where you're watching them from, because you also know that I'm broadcasting across media. What's going on? Oh man, Kevin McMillan coming in from LinkedIn. Good brother. Yes, I know. President of New Jersey National Black MBA Association, years and years. And thank you for continuing to have that impact on our younger generation. Not all, but most National Black MBA Association chapters have a teenage component called the Leaders of Tomorrow. And Kevin is the chapter president of the MBA, the New Jersey MBA Associate chapter, but he also therefore has a hand in what goes on with their leadership and teenage extension. We've got less than a minute to go for today's message. So welcome aboard, Kevin. It's good to see you again, man. I had a lot of fun and joy and love back when I used to present on an annual basis with the National Black MBA Association. Get me back in touch with them, Kevin. I'll check with you. What's going on, Rogercarole? Right here in the Queen City, but we met in Chicago, and that's now my Chicago sister, who is now my Charlotte sister, getting ready to come up on her first 3/4 of a century. Good to see you, Rogercarole, and have a wonderful, wonderful Mother's Day weekend. It's 1 o'clock and looking good. Yes, I am. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. And it's funny because when I tell people I'm 68, they say, "Oh, you don't look 68." I said, "No, no, no. I don't look 68. I look forward to waking up." So therefore, looking forward to waking up, looking good. That's what it's all about. But it's not just about the outside appearance, because the looking good has to come from the inside. Yesterday I was at Walmart, and this older woman, and let me just go and say, this older white woman, we were at the checkout line, the self-checkout line, and so I just spoke to her. I said, "Hello." I said, "How you doing?" And we both smiled, and she said, "You have a wonderful smile." And I said, "Well, thank you." I said, "But it's for the people who deserve to get a good smile from me, because I don't give it to everyone." And she said, "Well, we all deserve a good smile." I said, "You are so right." And so, but it was just a great exchange. It went longer, a little longer than that, not much longer. But it's just to remind you what I was saying before you came on. If you on live, but if you're watching the video, you know that I already mentioned that we have to search for the commonalities. We have so much more in common than we do in going against one another. So let's look at again. So Glue Wednesday. Well, now I've decided I have a new arm to my Glue Wednesday, and I call it the GAIN series, GAIN, and it's the glue analogy in numbers. See, with the glue series, what I used to do was I had a segment called the GAS series, the Glue Alphabet series, where every week I'd have people give me a word with the letter to be featured next week, and I'd get that word into the message the following week. And so now I'm asking people to give me a number, and I'll get that message and I'll explain that. Don't give me the number yet, unless Kevin, unless you got to go. But I normally ask for the number toward the end of the broadcast, and then that way I got them all together. If you're watching on the tape, again, you can throw it in anyway. But anyway, this weekly broadcast will ask that you provide a number that you like. And it doesn't matter what the number is, and you don't even have to tell me why you like that number. And I will follow your number into next week's message. This week's numbers were volunteered by Vee Knox, who gave us 13. Rogercarole Rogers gave me 76. Daphne Francis gave me 37. Jose, who I call Haas, my homeboy, gave us 45. Geraldine Gerri gave us 43, and she just logged in. What's going on, Jerry? You know how to time it, my sister. And Victor Morris gave us 36. Okay, so each week I'll introduce you to what I call the GAIN pledge. And the GAIN pledge is that you've got to make the numbers work for you, or the numbers will work against you and keep you in a box. And last week, the GAIN pledge was called Stretch GAIN. And I always have something with GAIN that incorporates, the heading will always incorporate the word GAIN. So last week was Stretch GAIN, because I did some stretching to make the numbers work for me, and my message extended around my affirmations. And my affirmation was win, W-I-N, what I need. Winning is personal, and everyone has a personal win that makes them a valuable member of every team, along with the pledge. Now, I also mentioned, hey, what's going on, Daphne? P.S., by the way, if you're new to this, Wednesday is also my shout out day. So I make little commercials in the middle. And you know what you'll find? It's always going to be right on time with what's going on with the message. You'll see. So what's going on, Daphne? Great to see you. Welcome back. Anyway, I had mentioned that I read the Bible 10 times. Each time I read it, I was searching for something different. And that's really how you need to study the Bible. You have to know what you're looking for in order to get the most out of it. During this particular reading, and several, but the one where I'm talking about my affirmation, I was looking for scriptures that supported my affirmations. Now, affirmations are acronyms that go beyond adding a word to each letter. You know how people just IRS, into Internal Revenue Service. See, that's an acronym. It's just adding a word to the letter. But what I do is I let my letters define the word in a memorable way that strengthens it, so it becomes an affirmation. And just like Daphne says, life is great, GREAT. I actually have an affirmation for great. I can't think of it, so I'll go with life, LIFE, lessons intended for everyone. Isn't that what life is about? And that's what makes it great, is that we continuously get the lessons that we need, but we have to be open to accepting them and then acting upon them. So that's what an affirmation is. See, so that's the acronym, lessons intended for everyone. And then it becomes an affirmation that, yeah, lessons are intended for everyone. Okay, cool. I'm going on and on. So anyway, this week, I'm going to introduce another affirmation. It's impact. IMPACT. I make people act courageously and truthfully. Now, I call this my impact statement. And by the end of the broadcast, I want you all to have filled in the blanks on your impact statement. I did this a couple of years on Glue Wednesday, but the only difference is you won't be using the C and the T. You'll see reminders in several slides, so don't rush and scramble or think I'm clicking too fast. And you can type yours in at any time, or even log off and come back later today and fill them in later. But you're going to be saying, I make people act what and what. See, so my impact statement is I make people act courageously and truthfully. What's yours? And look, I took time and thought about that. So again, you don't have to rush to fill in that blank, but drop it in anytime. So this week's gain will be impact gain. And I will be attaching each of our volunteer numbers to one of my original poems that appears on that page in one of my books. Now, you'll see the title of my 4 books of poetry in gold on each slide that comes through. And under each title, you'll see in white the poem on that page in each of those books. I created this week's message because of a pattern I saw on the pages that my volunteers chose. The first 3 poems were written about the impact that elementary school students have on adults, where we tend to think that we are supposed to be impacting them, but these poems show how they have impacted us. The final 3 speak of different kinds of impact. All of them led me to what I call my guiding scripture, which is from Ezra 10:4. Arise, for it is your task, and we are with you. Be strong and do it. Okay, and Daphne, I see you got in there. I make people act authentically, but I'm glad you got in early because you didn't complete the assignment. It's I make them act what and what. So there's going to be 2 things. So you got half of it, Daphne. I make people act authentically and what? Aha! Or what and authentically. Cool in the gang, not a problem, not an assignment where you get a bad, but it's just a great way to add up some wonderful characteristics in the thread for people to enjoy and read. And again, find, yeah, you know what? I could have said it that way. I hadn't thought about that, but yes, I do that too. Remember, we're talking about commonalities. All right. Hey, what's going on, Haas? Greetings and Sporty and the family. That's us. We're the family, like Sly and the Family Stone. Okay. But I'm going to go a little faster here to get us caught up, okay, because I'm having a ball. All right. Okay. But anyway, so that's I call that my guiding scripture. And that is, arise, for it is your task, and we are with you. Be strong and do it. Ezra 10:4. And it creates this week's message, which is imagine your impact. Imagine your impact. Now, I chose this scripture from a site called faithinthenews.com, where the headline was 7 short Bible verses with a mighty impact. So that's why I chose that one. Meanwhile, 2 people, and then P.S. by the way, I'm also narrating in the background, letting you know how I'm making the numbers work for me, because again, this is the Gain series. That's part of what I'm doing, is showing you how I use the creativity. Okay. Meanwhile, this week, 2 people had a poem in every book on a page of the number that they chose. The first one is, and he just came right on time, is from Haas, where he chose the number 45. And here's the intro and the poem The poem is called The Motivational Speakers. And here's how I introduced the poem before I wrote it. I dedicate the motivational speakers to a sixth grade class after myself and a group of colleagues spoke at their career day, and extended to everyone who takes the time to nurture and cultivate their development, especially those in the teaching field. Here is the motivational speakers. I can't remember all the names, but each face stayed with me that day. The smiles, the questions, those moments of joy inspired my life and made me want to stay. To share my time with our future doctors, lawyers, presidents, judges, and owners of fashion boutiques, engineers and construction workers, singers and artists, and those who plan to teach. Athletic aspirations, even some who weren't sure. Beautiful young leaders, your blessing helps us score. Remember to use your wisdom to better all mankind. Remember to keep your head up high and let your spirit grow inside. You're the best and getting better, and you made us all so proud. We enjoyed your questions and your answers too, and your singing crisp and loud. We'll never forget how you made our day, and we brag about you to our friends. So have a wonderful summer, stay safe and stay cool. We look forward to seeing you again. The motivational speakers, a sixth grade class. So we went there on their career day, and guess what? They gave us the inspiration, and that's their impact. So from sixth grade, we go to fifth grade, and my dedication through the eyes of their teachers. Therefore, Vic's. Oh, P.S. By the way, I did mention, yeah, Haas had, notice he had a poem in each, the number, in case you don't know what that means. On page 45, I'll read a poem that's on page 45 in each of those books when that happens. And every now and very rarely do we have it where someone's number happens to have a page on in each of the four books. So that's what I was talking about for those first timers who are joining us. So Haas, number 45, I have a poem that starts on each of those pages. That was Haas. Meanwhile, Victor gave me number 36. I don't have a page on every book in that one, but I have one on page 36. And this is from a fifth grade class. It's called Budding in Excellence. The intensity of social studies, laced with the perfecting nature of science. We're proud to say we've planted more than one seed. Yet the glory wonderfully basks in retrospect as our young prodigies get what they want and what they need. They grow to be robust, yet gracious models of success. And somehow they find a way to always reach back. However, silently, we rejoice as one of their role models, even though we don't play ball like Kobe or Shaq. Therefore, it's important for us to stay confident, to recognize and believe in ourselves, for we pass on more than a lesson plan. We create and protect knowledge shelves. Understanding is our base as we move toward excellence. Still, we never forget the blessings or the grace. For these are the weapons that arm us to arm RGCA. Our reward is in the radiance of each face. Now, RGCA is Recovering the Gifted Child Academy. That was the name of the school that we're in. But again, as you can see, the impact that the students had on their fifth grade teachers. Now, my second person to have a poem in each book is Daphne with page 37. Uh-oh. My internet cut off. Did it cut off on you? No, it didn't. Good. Daphne with page 37 in that same school, but this is through the fourth grade teachers. And it's called the Courageous Eight because there were 8 teachers who taught the fourth grade at that school. But see, I was doing a teacher's, there was a teacher's day. What do they call them? It's like when you have a school day, not orientation. teacher something day. Anyway, we'll teach. I was speaking to the different groups of teachers. Y'all come up with that. Tell me what that's called. Okay, teacher enhancement. Anyway, the courageous 8. Encouraged to wake up to start a fresh day, we brace ourselves to forgive. For there are plenty of times where we not only teach, we help our students learn to live. It's a wonderful feeling to see an occasional smile, pleasing to inhale the energy. We rally to support the bright ones and stay positive for all each child can be. Excellence, wisdom, and outrageous success become immeasurable goals that test our worth. So it becomes increasingly important that we remain passionate for every day on this side of the earth. Our courage cannot be eaten up, but replenished, for we're no ordinary group of blessed souls. We're the courageous 8 educators of young leaders. Our story is always seen, if never told. And thank you, Rogercarole. That's called the In-Service for Teachers. And again, can't you see the impact so far that our 6th grade, 5th grade, and 4th grade students have had on their teachers? How has their impact been on you? Meanwhile, at the top of each slide, if you're just joining us, it has IMPA. That's your impact statement. How would you fill in those blanks? I make people act what and what? Earlier, using the word impact, my statement is I make people act courageous and truthfully. Now, you don't have to put it in right away, but I just want you to know what that is. And you can put it in sometime before the end of the broadcast, or you can let the broadcast end, think about it, then come back on and put it in then, okay? So there's no test, there's no remark. You know me, it's just great conversation. Daphne has already put in half of hers. She put, I make people act authentically. And you know that there's a lot more to that. So again, as I said to Daphne, authentically and what? Or what and authentically. Okay, so let's pair up some wonderful characteristics and gifts that we use and do to have impact on people, as we've seen so far in our first 3 poems. So I'm going to move on to my next poem, and that is, I have to turn Gerri's 3 around, because I didn't have any books that have a poem that start on page 3. So what I did is I put, so old 3 would be page 3. Well, I went to 3-0. So I turned her 3 around to get 30. And my poem is, My Gift is of Choice, which is a poem about parenthood. A poem about parenthood. And if we're willing to make the numbers work for us, maternal or external, adopted or raised. A parent is who chooses a child and who a child chooses. And the joy of having children in our lives. So here is, my gift is of choice. Everyone is here for a reason, though many will choose to ignore it. Greatness must evolve through the touch of souls and spirits, each cultivating a life. I guess I get choked up just talking about it. I'm going to start over. My gift is of choice. Everyone is here for a purpose, though many will choose to ignore it. Greatness must evolve through the touch of souls and spirits, each cultivating a life, and no life is more precious than yours. And you, my child, are but one of the gifts that unlock my world. I can choose to watch you or study you, learn from you or teach you, lead you or guide you, and I will always follow you. Sometimes as a subconscious guide, teaching you to study, watching you learn, leading me toward my gift, always conscious of the self I live through you, and thankful that I do. Everyone enters your life for a reason. You have entered mine to narcissize my being, and I choose to love you because you are my gift. My gift is of choice. And even as we come upon, P.S. by the way, as we come upon America's Mother's Day coming up Sunday, today, Wednesday, is Mexico's Mother's Day. But this, again, this is about parenthood, and it's not just about mothers. It's not just about maternal parents. We have external parents as well. We have people who have adopted a child, and we have people who have just raised a child. And for instance, I have 5 younger brothers who I helped raise. Now, they didn't consider me their father, but again, that's what I'm saying. And look at Jerry. Wow, that totally works. Yes. and so again, that's what impact is all about, y'all, as we're seeing that grow with each poem. So thank you for the comments. You see, I do the commercials and jump right in on those comments because again, it's what we have in common that makes us work. So I turned Jerry, just the same way I turned Jerry's 3 around, I had to turn Rogercarole 76 around and make it a 67 and then land us among high school students. And this time, I was talking with some high school students, and we were talking about the subject of money. And we use what's known as a word bank that I created. A word bank is created when you volunteer words for each letter, similar to how we do at the gas station and with the numbers, and then write down, and then write with the goal of getting every word into the poem. And so, with my gas series, that's what I always do is get your words in. So that's the difference. We were just using the letter for the week. But when I do the word bank, I use the word and I go around and say, okay, give me a word that begins with letter M. Okay, you give me a word that begins with letter E. I never go in order. I don't go with MONEY because then people are preparing this. Oh, okay, I'm going to be the third person. So the N is going to be my word. And so what do I want to do with N? I want the instant response. So therefore, I mix the numbers up as I go around. And I'll say, so give me a word that begins with O. Then the next person I have, give me a letter that begins with the Y, so they can just react. Because the word does not have to create the poem. When you're creating your word poem, your word bank, your word does not have to create your message. You can use this with poetry, with songwriting, with essay writing, with proposal writing, anything. You just take your topic and put 2 or 3 words for each letter in whatever your topic is. See, that's, by the way, so there's the formula that you can use. When I do a word bank, if I'm doing it on my own, by the way, I take the vowels out and just use the consonants. So for money, I would just use the M and the N if I was doing it on my own. But since I was doing it with a class, I had them do all 5 letters in the word money. See, so that's a little creativity tip, okay? So here is money. Where are you? And see if you can hear the impact. If I had to pick my own poison, I check to see what I need, doing all I know to be necessary to avoid making choices based on greed. For some say the Lord works in mysterious ways. In my opinion, he's crystal clear. We just don't always know the plan, for yesterday's gone while tomorrow's not here. Be excited to open your spirit to accept the true payment. Put money in its proper place. Don't let it be your God, mother, or master. Live your life based on expanding your faith. Obviously, faith won't pay the bill, never has and never will, until you look a little closer and think twice. Have you ever had someone lend a helping hand because they remembered something you did for them that was nice? We've all heard that what goes around comes around, and like a yo-yo, what goes down eventually comes up. So don't beat yourself up during this tough time. The battle is not yours. Get your cup. You see, when the overflow comes, you'll need to be ready. Yes, when your ship comes in, you have to be ready to unload. Each window of opportunity is a small one. How you handle it determines how your story gets told. Will our young people gather around with eyes open wide to proudly hear about what you've overcome? Or will they turn their backs and give up on their future because nothing you do shows them what can be done? If only momentarily, take a look in your mirror. Do you see a nasty image of God as a jerk? Or do you understand the miracle of his blessing to keep you alive? He's got a plan for you that can't unfold if you won't put in the work. You know, I'm not talking about a job, because job, just over broke, is not the goal. That overbearing problem you see in the background is like an elephant who could be blocking you from your soul. Well, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Believe me, the taste of orange or chocolate strawberries won't be what come to mind. Oops, got to keep this PG-13, no naughty words or thoughts. Just sharing magical moments and memories from a guy whose name sounds like it's related to sports. Well, back to the money. You see, eventually it does come, and often right in the nick of time. For God's grace has no boundaries or limits. Like this poem, it won't always rhyme. But oh, when it does, there'll be such dancing in the streets. Exit all stress, erase concern, and evaporate pain. Your enemies will bow to you, shyly whispering, "Yes, sir," or "Yes, ma'am." The true question is, will your spirit be the same? For yesterday, you pedal a Yamaha bicycle. Today, you drive a Lexus with diamond in the back, sunroof top. Oops, I'm sorry. That was my phone ringing. The true question is, will your spirit be the same? Will you still have real friends or a phony new crew? When you seek earthly riches and money, the question you really should ask, will you have money or will money have you? Money, where are you? Will you have money or will money have you? And by the way, that diamond in the back, sunroof top, that little joke is one of the things I always use, especially when I'm speaking to high school students. I say, look, don't turn off your cell phones and put them on vibrate if you don't want to. Put them on a song. Let's make sure that your ringtone is a song that I want to be interrupted by right in the middle of my speech. And people crack up laughing. That's another way of telling people to turn their cell phones off. People still don't do it. Because sometimes people think, oh, I have it off, I have it on vibrate, and then somebody's will go off. But what I always say is, if your phone has a ringtone that I don't know, and when it comes up, I said, we'll take a groove break. And so that's why I was reading the poem, and then I said, diamond in the back. Oops, that was a groove break. And so the kids, when they got the poem, they would remember that. How can you create memorable moments when you present? Meanwhile, as you see Daphne put in, and we're going to get back to her IMPA, her impact statement. I make people act authentically and definitively. Yeah. And then that yeah doesn't go with that, but I'm going to throw it in there anyway. So what's your impact statement? Remember, you don't have to put it in right now, but if it comes to you and you want to throw it in, put it in there, or exit the broadcast when it's over and come back later and put it in there, because we always want to see it. Okay. But anyway, this final poem, we find that the kid is all grown up. We've had elementary school, we've had high school kids, and we've had children of all ages with my gifters of choice. Then we just had high school students. Now the kid is all grown up, and the conversation takes a step up in its PG rating. So Vee Knox's 13 is a poetic challenge given to me by a woman who I never saw again, because she didn't show up the following week at the club where we said we'd reconnect. But her challenge was something to the effect of men having a one-track mind. So I wrote her a poem called "It's About That Thing." I love not just the wet of it, not even the sweat of it, but that space so small that can hold so much and be home to so many. Passionately sought after by male and female alike for a satisfying quench of curiosity. Pride open and stretched in the most difficult of circumstances, yet left dripping in ecstatic anticipation of the next sense to comprehend. Feeling the urgency, hearing the volley and foreplay, inhaling the penetration, tasting the throb of maturation, and in full view of the excitement. So much coming in and going out, rearranging, adjusting, cleansing, snapping, aching, grasping. I love not just the wet of it, not even the sweat of it, but that space so small that can hold so much and be home to so many. And as I continue to gaze at you from head to toe, I pray that as other men come into your life, they too will love you for your mind. It's about that thing. And then I closed that. I wrote in a couple of pages that I wrote, um, like it or not, believe it or not, love is comprised of mental moments. If you hug three people while blindfolded, then took the blindfold off, you'd hug each of them differently. Doesn't sound like much of a study, does it? It doesn't have to. Love is one of the most misused words in the world. And that's why it's about that thing. And so all of this is the impact of what you think, because what picture was painted in your mind. And of course, back when I wrote that, that was in my book. Do you have any idea how fine you are? And I read it probably much more seductively back then. But either way, it's about painting that picture, and it's about having that impact on people's minds. We share mental moments, not in physicality. And so this is one of the platforms of my business and my life, is to recognize how we share mental moments. And that's why I have so much fun with the words and staying positive, because it's what's the last thing you thought about the person before you never see them again. What was that moment you shared with them? So thank y'all for all the impact poetry that y'all gave me today. Remember, the love is one of the most misused words in the world, yet its impact is unquestionably strong and lasting. How about yours? Realize that in life, we frequently are faced with things that trip us up. However, Ezra 10:4 reminds us to stand up and take courage so that we can do something right. Remember, sometimes you have to imagine your impact to gain your blessing. Find comfort knowing that the numbers will continue to work in your favor when you fill in the blanks. So let's do a couple of things at once. Now is the time to drop your number in the thread for next week, if you want to be included next week. And if you haven't done so yet, please fill in the blanks on your impact statement while I read any that are here already. Also, again, feel free to log off and come back and later to fill yours in. Meanwhile, be sure to take the game pledge, as well as remember that we don't have to hump as much as we need to keep it together. And that's what God's love does every day. It undoes everything. And in other words, it helps us keep it together, not pull us apart. So let's fill in those. Let's see what we got filled in. Rogercarole had just filled in. I make people act intentionally and with responsibility. So look at that. We've got intentionality, responsibility, authenticity, and definitively. What can you add to it? Rogercarole's numbers for next week are 19, and Haas is going to go with 27. But again, so technically our broadcast is over, but these are just a little sit back, a little extra time to go over some of the numbers, as well as I'd like to see your impact statement. And certainly if you're watching the video, throw that in there. We need to have all of that so you can come back and just enjoy the commonalities. Thank all of you for your numbers this week. Thank you, Geraldine, also for coming in with 27, and Rogercarole, Haas, and Geraldine all had numbers this week. And I thank you, Geraldine, for your wow, how it fit. I hope you saw how all the words fit in terms of the impact. And then more important, what impact do you have, Daphne? That 88 double eights, okay? You know that you're only allowed, you're only gifted with 9 doubles in your life expectancy. 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, and 99. That's it. No more doubles. So it's great when you can enjoy your doubles. Find a way, excuse me, to celebrate everything. Like Rogercarole's going to be 75. So I say, hey, that's 3/4 of a century. When someone's turning 50, I say, hey, half a century. 25, a quarter of a century. 30, your first 3-0. Find a way to celebrate everything and make it. And that's how you make the numbers work for you. All right. Okay, cool in the gang. So if anybody wants to, I'll wait a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes, and see if we got any more impact statements to add up there. But thank you, Daphne and Rogercarole, for yours, because that's huge. Again, if you think about it authentically and definitively, let me camp right there for a second, because authentically just reminds us, it's just like I say when I make the word bank, where I want the first word that comes out of their mouth when they hear the letter, so they can't prepare, oh, I'm going to be the third one, I'm going to use the number word beginning with the letter N. No, I want to catch them off guard. That's what authenticity is. And that's why it's important for you to have that control over your vocabulary and your temperament, because what's going to happen when you act on automatic response? That's going to tell people who you are. Remember, you know that saying, when people show you who they are, believe them. That's what authenticity is all about. So who are you really? Get to know yourself. And definitively, that's the key too, because you have to be, there's a term that we use in our church, Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago, unapologetically Christian and unapologetically Black. And so, but unapologetically is similar to definitively, is saying, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing things consciously. So when people say, oh, I wasn't thinking. No. We need you thinking, folks. So be definitive about your action. Know that you have impact. So somebody's watching. You've heard me say it a million times, choose your messengers carefully and recognize you are carefully being chosen as a messenger. So since you know you have that power, we need you to act definitively. I know what I'm doing when I give these broadcasts. I know I'm losing some people, and I know that I'm gaining some, and I know I'm enriching some. And that's who I want to focus on, who I'm enriching and who I'm gaining. Because the people who you lose were people who are not supposed to be there with you for the long run, reason, season, lifetime. That's a whole nother thing, okay? So just thank you for that. And Rogercarole, I make people act intentionally, which is similar to definitively. And what are you doing? What are your intentions? So that means that they have goals in mind. Here's what I want. And so here's what I'm willing to do. Not to do against someone, but to do for me, myself, to make me continue to have blessings and to draw upon my magnetism, and then have responsibility. Take account for what you do. That's why you don't need to bother. Come on, at our age, you don't need to bother with lying. Children lie because they're afraid of the adults, and they're going to get in trouble. My father used to say, you lie to those you fear, and you should fear no man. Now, did I live a life of never lying? No, but man, did I remember the impact of him saying that to me, and it impacts how I see myself as a man, and therefore the morals and values that I pass on. Again, that becomes me taking responsibility for my actions. Jose, I make people act respectfully and genuinely. Yes. and you have to make people act respectfully, in case somebody's saying, we're not questioning what anybody puts in. That's just the beauty of us seeing it in another light. You have to make people act respectfully, because some people come in wanting to disrespect you. Yeah, Tina just came in from Facebook saying hello, but she didn't come in, if she, who the hell are you? No, but you have to make people, when they come in, you have to make them respect you. You have to teach people how to treat you. Oh, so thanks, and being genuine, which is similar to, again, to that authenticity. See how we get it to make it all come together, y'all. That's what we want to do. Give ourselves, now that just extended both Haas and Daphne's vocabulary. Not to say they didn't know these words, but they can see that they're synonyms and they're interchangeable. Genuinely, authentically. So, so as somebody else may need to know those synonyms and find another way of saying what they want to say and what they're comfortable saying, because you have to say these things. That's what my affirmations are about. You have to find a way to play with the word, but then make it an affirmation, something you can believe in and share, because what you have to believe in is you, and that you are here to share. See how y'all make a whole new message come up? So again, Tina says hello, and I say goodbye. Thank you all for joining me on Glue Wednesday. Tina, what we're doing, you can watch the tape and come on back, or throw a number in. Anybody who's watching the tape, throw a number in that you want me to get in the message next week, as well as fill in that blank. I make people act what and what. On top is my impact statement. I make people act courageously and truthfully. And P.S., by the way, why do I do that? When I say that courageously, because I empower people to take control of their lives and be who they are. That's how it connects to all the authenticity, the responsibility, the being genuine. I make people bold enough to be those things. And then truthfully, again, genuinely, authentic. Who are you really? Get to know who you are. That's why my company is called The Top Line. And that top line is how I feel affects other people. So if you are truthful about who you are, then you will be truthful about who you bring into your life and who you keep in your life. And you won't have regret for the people that don't stay. Remember, there's the reason, season, lifetime. People come in your life for a reason and a lifetime. Those reason lessons and life lessons, you'll never forget. You'll always remember the person who brought that lesson into your life. That reason that they came in was to bring you this lesson, and you'll always remember who that person was. What you control is the season. How long do you let them stay there? How long does it take you to learn that lesson? And so Tina's number next week will be 31. I make people think about their impact on their community. And so she decided to twist the sentence around. Another option. That's what we have to do. And so that's just fine. But because still, if I filled in my blanks the way I had it, she makes people think and impact. I make people think. I make people act upon their thoughts and their contributions. But again, any way you want to say it, but let's remember that when we have the opportunity to say it, and that was in one of my posts today on one of my memes about as speakers, it's important that you deliver your message rather than back off. You have to deliver your message with confidence. People who see you on stage expect you to have something to deliver. So coming on with the, well, you know what? Hey, I'm going to be sure. I know, hey, I'm not doing the Rodney Dangerfield thing. I'm doing the Muhammad Ali. I'm the greatest. You want me on your stage, and you're paying me to be on your stage, or you're asking me to stand up, and therefore I'm coming to say something. I'm going to say something impactful to those who need it. I'm not going to cheat the person who I came for. God sent me here to deliver a message to someone. I am someone's messenger. God sent me to deliver that message to that person. I can't let myself be concerned about the people who don't want my message, because I wasn't sent for them. Thank you for being someone who I was sent for, and thank you for being somebody who was sent for me. Over and out. I'll see you next week. Happy Mother's Day. And you don't have to wait for the calendar to say it on Sunday. I said it to total women, and I said it to a woman yesterday. By the way, I would just held the door for her and the two little girls. I don't know if they were her girls, but after the two little girls came, and one of them was a cute. She said thank you, and they could be no more than 5, 6. I don't know their ages anymore. And I said welcome, princesses, and the woman said thank you. I said you're welcome, and happy Mother's Day. Again, doesn't have to be maternal. You're taking care of kids. Be good. Take care of yourself. I'm out of here for real. I love y'all. Peace.